Can you be serious? Can you just be serious for, okay, so here's the thing, y'all. I'm super goofy. Like, I'm a super goofy person. I love to laugh. I love to have fun. And I've spent like the last 30 minutes just giggling at my camera and at this computer because I don't know how to start this. Like, I don't know what to do. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Celeste. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are just seeing my face for the first time, you might follow me on Twitter or Instagram. Twitter is primarily where I be. Or if you're a returning subscriber from either one of my channels, this one or the other one, welcome, welcome, welcome. I don't know what I'm going to be doing with this channel. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna like turn this into a podcast or if I'm going to turn this, or if it's just gonna be me talking about my thoughts. But it's gonna be me discussing hip hop in some form, okay? I don't know, like, I don't got the particulars or the details down yet, but for now, I'm gonna just call it How Do I Start This, because I've been wanting to do this for so long, y'all. So today, we are gonna talk about the Clipse album release. And this, yo, even Alexa is hype, right? She just told me what when the album came out, and I ain't even asked her. Okay, we've all been super excited about this Clipse album. I think that it can't be overstated how much we've enjoyed this rollout, because it felt like for the first time in years we got like real hip hop artists like just sharing their journey and actually going to sit down and talk with like respected media. And so it's been a joy to watch. It's been a joy to see Pusha's and Malice's personalities and just kind of get to know them a little bit more, even though they're, 30 years in at this point, right? With all that being said, I'm gonna do another video that talks about the rollout and the discourse that's taking place around the album, and also Justin Bieber like just randomly deciding to release yesterday. I'm gonna talk about all of that in another video, but what I want to do in this video is just focus on the music, because I've listened to the album now. I can't even count. I can't even count how many times I've listened to the album, and it literally just came out, right? So since Thursday night, it's been on repeat pretty much like everyone. Y'all know if you follow me on Twitter, you know I built a playlist with GNX and Let God Sort Them Out. So I've just been intaking this album as much as possible. So today I just kind of want to talk about the music, because there's been a lot of noise going on about the rollout, discourse, just nonsense, which is important, but I just want to make sure that, at least from my perspective, that the music is being elevated and celebrated, because that is ultimately what we're all here for. And like I said, we'll talk about the rollout part in a minute. But yeah, so this is a no skip album, and that's rare. Like, I can't remember. GNX for me is the last no skip album. I know y'all be skipping GNX, the title track. I don't skip it. I love the GNX title track. So I guess since Kendrick Lamar's GNX, this is the first no skip album that I've listened to. And it's just like each song you can tell was crafted like with care and attention and quality. Like, usually when you listen to an album these days, artists are releasing like 20 tracks, 24 tracks, they be on a Chris Brown shit, just like releasing like all the songs they have on their hard drive. And a lot of it just be filler. Like, it just be like, oh, okay, that sound good, but it's just like, it don't move you. It don't do nothing for you. It's just a placeholder. Like, it's just there. And I did not feel like that with this Clipse album. Every song I felt had a place. And I think that one of the things that I like too is that like some of the songs were kind of like transition songs. And I don't mean that like in a derogatory way. I just mean it in like, they were taking us on a journey And so you could tell there were songs that were like trying to get us through that journey. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking about like All Things Considered and the EBITDA. Y'all, I got ADHD, so I'm completely messing up the letters, but y'all know what I'm talking about. That song. It's after the Mike Tyson Blow to the Face song. That song. Songs like those kind of just like transition us into the different phases of their story, which I personally just like really appreciate it. So with that said, I'm gonna give y'all my top songs, but in no means am I saying like, oh, the other songs are not as good. I think every song is good on this album, great actually, and this is an album that I would play in my car from top to bottom. So my favorite songs as of now, and it changes, but at first it was POV. If you saw my tweet, you know that I was like completely losing my mind to that song. Like the beat is just absolutely nuts. It does have a nostalgic feel. Like it kind of reminds me of something that Pharrell would produce like in the early 2000s. Like kind of like along the Mr. Me Too beat kind of. I guess like it's not a little darker, but like kind of in that same vein. Like it just kind of has a nostalgic feeling to it. So yeah, I completely lost my mind to POV. And not just the beat, that first verse by Pusha is one of the best on the album. I don't see anybody talking about it, but there's a couple things he does on that song that I think are important. So I know that Chains and Whips is getting a lot of hype, not only because like it's a good song and Kendrick Lamar's on there, and also in that first part of the song, we know from like a year ago when he released it, he was responding to Jim Jones. But then he takes it a step further in POV and like gives a whole analysis on reality TV and also like how his position in the industry, right? And how he's like basically seeing people who don't last as long, people who are, you know, thousandaires is what he calls it. We know Push has like a disdain for even basic luxury, right? So like thousandaires is just like really beneath him, right? And while it's easy to, you know, kind of laugh at, you know, his disdain for it, I think ultimately what he's saying is that like he's been in the industry so long that he's seen people come and go, and he's also seen people fake the funk, you know, like pretending to be rich or wealthy or, you know, in these great positions, and they're struggling. Like they gotta go to reality TV. They only get paid $5,000 to host at different clubs, right? And so I think it's easy to like look at it from like, oh, he's dissing in a way, but I think it's more so also like him just separating himself and also showing us like what he's seen in the industry. So yeah, POV was my favorite. And then I realized that I was like constantly replaying Mike Tyson Blow to the Face, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that makes sense, because I heard that song, like a snippet of that song maybe a year ago, whenever they released it, and that was my favorite snippet that I had heard. And so this is one that I continuously go back to. I love how at the beginning of the song, both Pusha and Malice are rapping a cappella before the beat kicks in. It forces you to listen to the words and forces you to actually listen to what they're saying, not just listen to the words, but like listen to the trajectory of what they're saying. And it's just elite skill, like it just like the rhyme scheme. Yeah, that so I think I really like that. And then when the beat kicks in, it just makes it even harder. So yeah, Mike Tyson Blow to the Face, of course, Chains and Whips, So Be It. I'm so glad that they got the So Be It up the version that we all love, because when it was first released on Spotify and I think Apple too, there was like some other beat which I liked actually. It was different. It's completely different from the original version, but it was newer. I tweeted that it sounded like what did I say? It sounded like dark. Like it sounded dark, and it sounded like the video looked. That's what I said. But it sounded like along the lines of horror. And so I liked it. I actually think that they should have both on the album, because there are some of us that appreciate both versions, but it is not superior to the original version. Like that beat is absolutely phenomenal. And I don't want to jump out the window, but I'm almost like ready to say that So Be It might be one of the best one of the best beats on this album. Like, it's just absolutely amazing. So Mike Tyson Blows to the Face, Chains and Whips, So Be It. Also, I think another thing that I like about So Be It is, and I think Malice also talks about this on, I wrote it down. What song is this? It might be POV. No. It might be Mike Tyson Blow the Face. What I'm trying to say is that, like, Malice mentions like trending, and he also mentioned on So Be It, he talks about how we basically just tweet and parrot each other, how basically we're just all saying the same thing and we're kind of like living in an echo chamber. I thought that was important too, because as somebody that like had, stepped away from rap for a while, he also came back on this album and gave his perspective of like everything that he'd been through, where we are now as a culture. And that was like one of the things that stood out to me, because he also mentioned it in another song where he said, you're mad because you're not trending, right? And so I think that's both, and I think that sentiment is both prevalent amongst both Malice and Push, kind of going back to like Pusha talking about, the reality TV thing, like, and you saw it throughout the rollout where even though they were engaging in social media, they were still they still made it a point to go to traditional media sites, so like Ebro and Apple Music, which back in the day would have been, like Hot 97, because I think Ebro still works. I'm pretty sure Ebro still works for them. And who else did they go sit with? The Breakfast Club. They did print interviews, right? They did podcasts, right? They sat with Complex. So they really did a variety of traditional media. And I think that kind of speaks to their, how do I say it? It shows the era of hip hop they come from, where like artists not only have to just put out like dope music, but also had to kind of have dope personalities and be personable, and they understood that like, this is a business. Now we have artists that just like don't want to talk, they just want to release music and just like go on about their business, and some people can get away with that, like, it's cool. And I also understand why some artists don't do interviews. That's another topic, but they really took it back to like the beginning, not just in music, but like even in the way they executed the release. So that was really cool. So Mike Tyson, Blow to the Face, Chains and Whips, So Be It, So Far Ahead is absolutely like heavenly. That was another song that I kept replaying too. Like, it's just absolutely amazing. And I will say too, like, I'm not a fan of Pharrell singing. I'm just not a fan of it. Like, I hated Happy. Like, I hated Happy, and I know like everybody loved that song, and I freaking hated it. I'm just not a fan of him singing, but he did good on this album. And the parts that he did sing, I actually enjoyed it. So I enjoyed it on So Far Ahead. He sung a little bit on Chains and Whips. I enjoyed that. And I think he did All Things Considered too. He sung on that with The Dream. So to me, it was good. I actually enjoyed it. Yeah, and I think that there's been a lot of talk about Pharrell kind of being, you know, I want to be respectful, so I ain't gonna say what the first word that comes to my head. But there's been talk about him like, oh, he's kind of like, you know, lost his mojo a little bit in terms of producing. I don't know if I ever felt that way, and I don't even know if that's something that I ever considered. But I will say that this is definitely like, this definitely shows that like he still got it, you know, and he's one of the best. So yeah, I think that Pharrell absolutely did phenomenal on this album, not just in the production, but also in the vocal parts that he did contribute. I think that they actually really helped bring cohesiveness to the music. And again, it's like, it's really cool to see them, you know, kind of go along that journey. It's almost kind of like he's like the third member of the group in a way. And so, yeah, it was just really cool to see them like working together. Okay, and then the last song is FICO, which I'm gonna be completely honest, I've never listened to Stove God's music like that. Like, I just never, you know, of course I've heard of him, but I just never tapped into his music like that. Not for any specific reason, I just haven't. And this song, even though he only did the hook, absolutely amazing. I was just blown away. Like, just absolutely amazing. I think one of my favorite bars, and it's silly, but at the end of the chorus where he talks about where he says the fresh, I can't even Google it because I'm mirroring it on my computer. But actually I could. Y'all, I'm working up to a point. I know y'all like, what is she talking about? Like, she kind of all over the place. And you know what? Sometimes I do be all over the place. So just bear with me, because that's just how my brain works. It just be all over the place. Oh yeah, okay. So the bar is Fresh Prince jacket, boy, I cook them till they inside out. So if you watch Fresh Prince, you know that's the thing that Will Smith used to do. The character Fresh Prince used to wear his his school uniform jacket inside out to kind of like separate himself from the other students. And like I said, I know y'all like, that's not even really that, you know, complex of a bar. But I think the reason why it resonates with me so much is because it's just like, it just signifies culture, right? Like, we all grew up watching Fresh Prince, and, you know, like, I just kind of feel like it just signifies, like, it's not something you would know unless you know, watch Fresh Prince growing up, right? And I just thought that it's cool. I don't know. That might be lame, but I really liked it. It really, I think too, because hip hop is very self-referential. Like, it's always referring back to things in the past, whether things in hip hop or things in Black culture. It's just always cool to see when people just bring different elements of things that we, you know, grew up with, loved, into the music. And yeah, I really liked it. But yeah, other than that, like, I think the album was, you know, really, really good. If the Source was still doing ratings, I think that this would be a 5 mic album. I personally give this album a 10 out of 10. You know, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, it's too early, I need to listen to it more. You know, I don't need to listen to it more. I'm going to continue to listen to it more, but I don't need to listen to it more to make my decision. Like, this album's a 10 out of 10. It's an album of the year contender. I do think GNX got competition, but like I said, we can talk about that in another video. The last thing I'll say is that I'm really appreciative of just the music in this moment that we got to experience. Yesterday, Clipse released a Tiny Desk, and where they went through all their hits. And the clip that went viral, of course, is them doing Grinding. And that was just like obviously that's like a really special moment for all of us, because whether you're in high school at the time or middle school or grade school, we all beat on our desk that beat, right? We all whether you use your hands or pencils or pens or whatever the case may be. Like, that song was such a cultural phenomenon that it all impacted us. It impacted us all positively, and we all have a lot of good memories attached to that song. And even yesterday, I watched the clip with my sister, who's also a big hip hop head. We watched it together, and just like, even that, you know, just kind of like brought back memories. And also, I was thinking about like how long like the clips have like been a part of my life soundtrack. I remember, I think I was in 3rd or 4th grade when that song came out. I'm pretty sure that was 2002, 2003. I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and I remember one of my classmates, shout out to Jack Finch, he, at that time, like, CDs was like a huge thing, and I didn't have a computer. And so he burnt me a CD. And I think it's interesting to point out too that he was a white kid. He had a computer. And I didn't, but he was still like tapped into the culture. So he ended up like burning me a CD, and he put Clipse on there, the Grinding, and I think he put Destiny's Child on there. And some other songs he put on there too. But all that to say is that like they've been a part of my soundscape for a while. There's a running joke in my family, like 2 of my cousins back in the day, one was kind of bald and one had braids. And so we used to call them the Clipse. And so yesterday I texted my cousin like, hey, you know, our cousins released an album yesterday. And, you know, he texted me back like, I mean, the album is fire. So yeah, it's just, Clipse has been a part of a lot of our memories. And so, yeah, I just really, really enjoyed this moment. And yeah, so that's all I have to say for the album review. Like I said, I'll do the whole talk about some of the other discourse things in another video. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.